Hey guys, we are in the last of the reworks, the 5 reworks that happened after kind of a 10-week break of patches. And we are looking at Valla. Now, Valla is an interesting one to get a rework since she was in a pretty good spot. She had 3 major builds. She had an auto attack only build that was used a lot in Storm League. She had a competitive hypercarry build that was kind of her W build while getting some mana off of the early talents. And then she had her Q build, which is a bursty mage build that did a lot of damage to isolated targets, and it also did a lot of damage to minions, mercs, and monsters, making it one of the best and highest damage race builds in the game for maps like Battlefield of Eternity. Valla has kind of had a little bit of a struggle because of these very niche roles. She doesn't fit into a lot of categories because she's such a low health, low range auto attacker that she tends to be very risky to pick it into most situations. But she has been a very dominant force in those niche areas that she's good at. With all of that being said, she's getting a rework this upcoming patch, and this is what's in the rework. So as far as her base kit goes, the only things that's been really changed is her auto attack damage got a light nerf, her W got a light nerf, both just damage nerfs. But her abilities stay about the same in functionality. Now, the reasoning that Blizzard decided to go with this rework, since it's another hero that had a lot of build paths, had areas in the meta that she was used, that's where I come back to the developer comments. They said, our resident Demon Hunter has one of the most diverse talent trees in the game, so our main goal with these changes were to inject some new cross synergies and brighten up the design of some of her blander talents. As with other reworks, we are testing a new lone talent, so please send us your feedback on them. So let's get into her new talents. Level 1, we have Puncturing Arrow, which is the quest that was normally at level 4, if I remember correctly. And it has a slight adjustment. Increase the number of Hungering Arrow bounces by 1. Hitting an enemy hero with the initial impact of Hungering Arrow refunds 40 mana and permanently increases the damage of its initial impact by 6. So this is not off of each of the bounces, but it does increase the amount of bounces by 1. So it is just a permanently growing quest that's just constantly going. Fire at Will, a new W talent quest. Hitting heroes with multi-shot grants 2 hatred and permanently increases its damage by 4. So again, it's kind of a unique new talent that's going to buff the damage of your W. Greed of the Hunter. There's a lone. Gain 20% bonus attack speed. Every death reduces this by 5%. Then you have a quest. Every 50 basic attacks against a hero or against heroes increases hatred's damage bonus per stack by 1%, up to 5%. So you can get up to 5% extra damage off of the stacks, which is you get 10 stacks, so an additional 50% damage. So hatred already has an increase of damage by 8%. So that will go up to 13% per stack. And then you also get flat 20% attack speed, which will kind of give you some value in the early game, make it a little bit easier to stack Creed of the Hunter as you start building it up. She's a squishy hero, so I'd imagine that you will be losing a large amount of this loan throughout the game. So basically the loan is there to stack up your quests a little bit faster, and that's about it. So let's get into her level 4 talents. So level 4, we have Arsenal. Let me just grab a talent. We have Arsenal. Increase the range of multi-shot by 20%. Multi-shot also fires 3 grenades that deal 263 damage and refunds mana on hitting heroes. So what the grenades used to do was they used to lower the cooldown of your W, and they didn't increase the range. The range was part of a level 16 talent. So now you're going to be able to hit more people in a W build, and stack that faster, but we still haven't gotten the lowered cooldown yet. We go into Death Dealer. Increase Vault's basic attack damage bonus from 6 to 15% per stack of hatred. If this attack kills its victim within 1.5 seconds, the mana cost and cooldown of Vault are refunded. It doesn't say a hero, and it also reduces the cooldown of Vault as it is, which makes me wonder about, can you vault and kill a minion then vault again? Because it doesn't really matter that much, but that could be a pretty good escape. And just shaving off 5 seconds off Vault is pretty good as it is. Repeating Arrow. Vault no longer has a mana cost. Casting Vault resets the cooldown of Hungering Arrows. So we've seen that before as well. One thing that's not on this tier and not on this tier is the increased damage to minions, mercs, and monsters, which was used for the race talent in the initial objective on Battlefield of Eternity. Because Battlefield of Eternity is a 2-lane map and the objective spawns at 3 minutes, that means that she will no longer have the increased race for the first objective of the game. We'll just take that for now. Level 7 is when she takes Monster Hunter, which is that extra benefit. But again, you might not have that race in the first objective of the game, depending on how long it takes for you guys and if you defend in the first portion. Frost Shot. Multi-shot slows by 20%. Hungering Arrow deals 25% more damage to slowed enemies. So now you can slow people with your W, and then you can use your Q on a target to do more damage to that target that's slowed. Hot Pursuit. Increased movement speed bonus of each stack of hatred by 2.5%. It's currently 1% per stack, up to 10%. You can get this to where it's 3.5% per stack, so you'll end up having 35% increased movement speed. That means you'll be running around at mound speed while auto-attacking. Then we have, at level 10, we have Strafe and we have Rain of Vengeance. Let me just double check that there hasn't been any changes to Strafe or Rain of Vengeance. There is not. So basically the same as what they've been before. Level 13, we have Siphoning Arrows. Hitting a hero with Hungering Arrow heals Valla for 4% of her max health, and multi-shot heals for 2%. Remember, you can hit multiple heroes, so if you hit 3 heroes, that's 6% per W that gets thrown out, and some healing off of your Q. Makes it to where you have one talent that kind of answers both. We have Tempered by Discipline. Basic attacks heal for 10% of the damage dealt, increased by 2% per hatred stack. This is a lot better than the old version, because the old version you only got the heal when you were at the max stacks. Now you'll get the heal at the start, and it'll grow as well. And I believe it even grows to more than what it was when this was fully stacked. Gloom. Activate to consume all hatred, granting 3 spell armor per hatred for 5 seconds. Passive. Gains 20 spell armor. And each stack of hatred heals for 2.5 health per second. That's actually pretty good, because this was kind of the competitive talent, but it wasn't really used a lot in Storm League because you couldn't really trust your healer. So now all 3 of these are great healing talents. It just depends on which one is going to be your best bet. I think it's going to depend mostly on the build. Level 16, Punishment. While at max hatred, multi-shot's cooldown recharges 50% faster. That's the cooldown reduction of the W that we were kind of waiting for. We can have it at about a 6-second cooldown. Seems pretty reasonable, and it's much lower than what the W build normally had, except that you need to stay at max hatred, which might be a little bit difficult, except that if we hit someone, we do gain hatred from W, so it could actually turn out really good. Seething Hatred. While at max hatred, increase all damage dealt by 10%, and then we still have Manticore. Every third basic attack against the same hero deals an additional 5% of max health as damage. Remember that percent health goes through armor values. Now we go into the level 20s. Let me double check that I know some of these actually have gotten changed. So Death Siphon, hitting an enemy hero with Strafe increases its duration by 0.125. Strafe also fires penetrating bolts in a line for 75 damage every 0.25 seconds that heal. So what this used to do was all of your shots would pierce, and you would heal off of part of the damage dealt. Now it's only some of your shots will pierce and heal you, where the rest of the shots will increase the duration. Storm of Vengeance. Basic attacks against a hero reduce the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance by 5. And each stack of hatred increases your attack speed by 2%, while at max hatred gain an additional 30% attack speed. So I mean, I feel like if you grab all the attack speed talents, I wonder if you can just stun lock someone until they die. Acrobat. Gain 2 additional charges of vault. Drop 3 caltrops while vaulting that deal damage and slow enemies. Firefight Quiver. Gain 20% attack range, while at max hatred gain an additional 30% basic attack range, so you could be like a mile away. So let's look at this talent really quick, because I am curious what the actual attack range is. Okay, so that's the attack range. So that's 8.2 attack range. I mean, that's Sergeant Hammer range, basically. So that's kind of interesting. And in an auto attack build, that could be pretty cool. I am curious if we go all the attack speed talents. So we go attack speed. There's no attack speed talent here, but we'll just grab this one. Hot Pursuit would be the attack Rain of Vengeance, basic attacks heal, Manticore, Storm. I'm just curious to see. So we're gonna get, let's complete our quest. And let's stun. Stun. So you can't stun lock, but this is actually crazy DPS. Like 1,000 DPS. Now the downside is that we have to take this and not the longer range. Hyper carry will most likely take the longer range so that you can stay safer. So you would take everything but this. And you would lose what, 50% attack speed. So it's not the end of the world by not taking this talent, but an auto attack build would look like this with either this or this at the max level. It just depends on how you're going to play it out. So, and potentially even Gloom. So I would say this is the auto attack build now, potentially the hyper carry build, and it's got its pros and cons. The W build, I think, is what most people are going to find comfortable. You go W Talon at 1, W Talon at 4, Frost Shot at 7. You could go Rain of Vengeance or Strafe. I like Rain of Vengeance W build because you can lock someone down and throw a W, which is kind of bursty, and then your Q. And we're going to be doing bonus damage to whatever's slowed anyways. And then we're going to grab Siphoning Arrows, and we're going to grab Punishment. And we don't really need this talent, but there's not really anything else that we do need. So we would probably go with this talent right here. And this is actually a pretty good amount of DPS. We can use our W to get our hatred stacks up, and now we're attacking rather quickly. We can use our ult to lock things down. We use our W and our Q to keep it rolling. Now, we're going to be able to keep that lower cooldown going because we're going to keep our stacks high. Even if we walk away from a fight, we can throw our W to just reset our stacks really quick. And we can always use our Q for that bonus damage. So we can keep around the same DPS. Well, not really. We don't keep the same amount of DPS just because it's only going to be on a single target. But it's not bad DPS either. We can see we stay around 800 DPS with the level 20 talent, and we have a lot more poke, and we have a lot more sustained damage, and that's not even counting the stacks yet because you're going to be building stacks throughout the entire game. So I feel like the W build is going to feel the most natural, and we still have a lot of DPS when we start hitting the late game. So early game, it's a lot of poke, it's a lot of annoyance, it's a decent amount of self-healing, and then when we get to the late game, we actually have a good amount of single target damage to just blow up one target at a time. So I would say this is going to be the build that most people are going to naturally gravitate to because it's just relatively easy. The Q build is of course going to be one that we look at with Q, Repeater Arrow, Monster Hunter, potentially Strafe, and then we go into Siphoning Arrows, into Seething Hatred, because we're going to want to get up to max Hatred. And the only thing is getting to max Hatred is going to be a pain, because we don't have any way to cheat it. But that is probably going to be the best option, or we can go Manticore, just because this isn't going to boost our damage that much, and it's going to be hard to trigger, so we might go Manticore. And then we go Death Siphon. And so this would be kind of the direction of this one, is we're going to use Q, W, R. And we can see where the piercing ones pop up as well. And this actually keeps going. Even if we're just hitting one person and on the edge of a fight, this strafe is just continuing. So the level 20 strafe's actually pretty cool. It does freeze our hatred in place, so if we do end up getting the Seething Hatred, and we can get to max hatred before pressing R, this is actually pretty cool. We can also dash while in it, which is kind of interesting. Huh. Alright, let me back out of this. Let's get this to reset. Okay. So let's reset talent. So I would change this build around to be this. We're gonna go Siphoning Arrow, and then we're gonna go Seething, and then we're gonna go Death Siphon. And basically how we're gonna approach this fight is we're gonna just use our reset, we're gonna get up to 10, we're gonna ult. And now we're doing 10% increased damage, and we have the strafe that can just stay on the edge. And worst case, it ends when we have our abilities back up. And let's say that it ends, and then we go back in with this, and then we hit again. and then we do burst damage of upward of 1000 DPS, 4500 damage. Like, this build could be also really good. So we have 2 mage builds and an auto attack build out of Valla. I feel like both of the mage builds are better than the auto attack build, just because of how they play out. But I do think there's the world. Also, you could go Acrobat, since we do reset the cooldown of Q. You could go Acrobat in the Q build, but I just think Death Siphon's going to be better, because you got to remember, you're healing off of this, and it's just lasting so long. So yeah, that is Valla's rework. I think overall, it's pretty solid. It doesn't really break the old playstyles. The W build, you're going to run out of mana eventually, which is kind of sad, because the hypercarry builds generally don't have mana problems, and so we don't have a hypercarry build that doesn't have mana problems anymore. We have like Creed. We can go auto attack based, but it's not going to be as crazy as like the old hypercarry build. Then I would say the Q build doesn't have a way to build up hatred, which it never did, but it's just one of those things that feels like it should. Yeah, for the most part, though, I think that the W build is going to be the most fun for most people. I think the Q build will have its place, and I think the auto attack build will definitely encourage a lot of the people that like playing that like really fast play style of Valla, and that probably will be the hypercarry build. And what I mean by hypercarry build is basically a build that can continue doing a ton of damage, oftentimes synergizing with like an Ariel, potentially an Uther or Zarya, so that you have multiple people shielding you, healing you, and you're a perfect battery for someone like an Ariel. And honestly, an auto attack build from range does seem like it could be really good, if you went kind of in this direction with it. I feel like it could do a crazy amount of damage. Like once we get to max hatred, just the fact that you can stay this far away from a fight and just kill their frontliner, and then you have dash on a really low cooldown, and your dash also will crit for quite a bit. It just seems very effective. Because we keep 800 DPS and we can stay a mile away. So I think that will be the hypercarry build, and we're running at mount speed. So if we need to chase down something, then we can definitely chase down something. And that's Valla. I mean, not much to say about Valla. Her playstyles are still relatively similar. It's just that her W build feels more like a W build. Her Q build feels more like a Q build. And her auto attack build feels more like an auto attack build. There's, oddly enough, what the developer comment is the opposite of what happened. Our main goal with these changes were to inject some new cross synergies. I don't feel like there's cross synergies. I feel like the builds have gotten more defined than they were before, because her old W build was actually a half auto attack build, half W build. The old Q build would sneak in Manticore. So you'd be a mage and then you'd use Manticore to kill like a tank. And the old auto attack build abused like Caltrops early on, and it was more of like a hybrid build. So it's interesting to me that these builds have gotten more structured, and it kind of did the opposite of what they were looking for. With all that being said, though, I actually kind of like it. I enjoy this rework. I love when you can take all of one talent, or all of one ability talents all the way down, because it makes it feel like that ability is strong. Like, I liked W build, and I like this current W build. I think it's going to be really strong, and I think it's going to be rather fun. So I personally think that's cool. I think the Q build's also going to be fun, especially with the level 20 strafe. So I personally like these changes, but I don't think it really did what they were trying to do. But I think they're fun. What about you guys? What do you think about the Valla rework? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it looks fun? Are you excited about it? Let me know down below. Out of the reworks, I think I'm most excited about this rework, potentially the Stitches rework. I don't know, though. Actually, no. I'm going to say this rework and the Anduin rework. I think those are the two that I actually look at them and I go, I see builds that seem fun. I'm going to try these builds. And, like, those are the two. I would say the reworks that I'm not sure about is, like, Raynor and Stitches, because I feel like the Stitches mains are going to enjoy it. I feel like the Raynor one, he's either going to be played exactly the same as he was before, or he's going to go in that tanky build. And the last one, the Joanna rework, I don't know how to think about it. It's hard for me to really gauge it just because I didn't really see a build that I was that excited about right after it. Like the blind build seemed okay if you're hitting a ton of people, but if they're spread out, like I feel like it's just gonna feel bad. But yeah, so that's it. What do you guys think about this rework? What do you think about the other reworks? Let me know down in the comments below. And feel free to check out my other videos. I will be having some other videos coming out soon. Plan on making a early, mid, late game video soon, especially with these talents. So hope that'll kind of explain a little bit about that anyways, but how it would explain how we should be approaching early, mid, and late game. Either way, thank you guys for watching, and feel free to check out the other videos.